Will I be remembered as a good king, Lionel?
Why is King Viserys losing his left arm in House of the Dragon so important? When you've got ibuprofen and cold medicines on your toiletries rack, it's hard to appreciate just how far we've come as a species thanks to modern medicine. But then you see something like grayscale, and you become very thankful, very quick indeed. In medieval times, even curable illnesses like a pox could have proven lethal, and good luck trying to save someone from appendicitis. So it is understandable that even a man has supposedly learned as Grand Maester Melos cannot effectively heal the king from a disease that their society doesn't know enough about. But is he even trying? We've seen how Viserys got hurt in the first place, and have also heard enough about his treatment to grow suspicious. But to unlock this mystery box, we're going to have to answer a seemingly straightforward question first. Why was King Viserys' left arm amputated in House of the Dragon? So let's dive straight into it. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Was Viserys' left arm amputated in Fire and Blood as well? Exploring King Viserys' medical history in the books. You might be surprised to hear this, but the simple answer is no. Other than having a bulging gut and a propensity to drink wine more than most, King Viserys had a clean bill of health for the majority of his reign, from 104 AC to 126 AC. He ruled without having a single health scare severe enough to warrant a succession crisis, but that all changed in 127 AC. That year, Viserys was petitioned by members of a lower branch of House Velaryon for their rights to succeed to the Driftwood throne. Now that Lord Corlys had no living heirs on his own, both his son and daughter had died during the year of the Red Spring 7 years prior, and the Sea Snake himself was now bedridden with a mysterious fever, his fate uncertain. By law, should Corlys have been claimed by the fever, Driftmark should go to Viserys as he is his son Laenor's eldest living son and heir. But Jace was also the Prince of Dragonstone and heir to the Iron Throne, so Rhaenyra petitioned her father by law to name her second son Lucerys as heir instead. She faced vehement opposition from the Sea Snake's eldest living nephew, Vaemond Velaryon, who insistently claimed that Rhaenyra's children did not have the right to inherit Driftmark, as they weren't even Velaryon children. For this transgression, he lost his life to Daemon Targaryen and Dark Sister, while his wives and children ran to King's Landing to seek the king's protection. But after Viserys heard their accusations about his grandchildren's birth, he simply had their tongues removed so they might not be able to spread such filth elsewhere. But the king had apparently made an unworthy proclamation, because no sooner had he ordered the sentence be seen to with haste that he slipped and cut his hand to the bone on one of the jagged spikes of the Iron Throne. The cut became infected and gave Viserys such a potent fever that it was feared he might have died. Grand Maester Melos' methods proved ineffective in curing the king, and it was only when Rhaenyra's Maester Gerardys came to the capital and removed the infected digits from the king's arm that he managed to make a stable recovery. But by this point, Viserys was old, gouty, and way too hefty. At 50, he looked like he was ready for retirement, and he never sat the throne after cutting his hand open on it. He would die 2 years later in his sleep, after which the Dance of the Dragons would spring forth to burn the House of the Dragon down to its last embers. But apart from this one major injury, and his indulgence which led to obesity, King Viserys never showed any signs of major diseases, and only lost 2 infected fingers in his lifetime. But the fact that he cut himself upon the Iron Throne to sustain that injury is what matters more here, and we think it is also the reason behind why Viserys was amputated in House of the Dragon.
The leechings have always brought his grace relief.
Why King Viserys' amputated left arm is an analogy for his reign and the Targaryen Civil War. When Aegon the Conqueror had his monstrous royal seat constructed, he ensured that its design would not allow its owner to sit comfortably, because he believed that a king should never sit easy. As a consequence, kings who cut themselves while sitting on the throne started being seen as unworthy of the seat. The trend began with Maegor the Cruel, who was found dead upon the throne itself, wrists laid open, throat impaled by a spike of iron from the royal throne. There were many rumors as to how Maegor died. Some pointed the blame at his wife Eleanor, who found him the next day, while others blamed a builder who escaped Maegor's cruelty following the completion of the Red Keep. But the one theory that stuck around was that the throne itself killed Maegor for all his irredeemable acts as the third king upon the Iron Throne. It took King Jaehaerys several years to bind up the wounds of Maegor's tyrannical reign, and every subsequent Targaryen king wounded by the throne would be looked upon unfavorable by court and small folk alike. The most prominent example of this is the Mad King, who cut himself upon the Iron Throne so many times that one of his nicknames was King Scab. Many of Aerys' courtiers knew he was unworthy of the throne he sat upon, but did not make a move because of either duty or pure fear. That would not be the case for Viserys, but his unworthiness does come in a different flavor. He is too obsessed with peace. Viserys inherited not only the throne, but also the legacy of his grandfather Jaehaerys, which was one filled with 50+ years of peace and prosperity. Though Jaehaerys himself was not a man averse to using his dragon flame to settle a matter with force when necessary, Viserys chose diplomacy as his means to maintain his grandsire's legacy. The only time we know that he cuts himself in the book is when he orders Corlys' nephew's tongues be ripped out for their lies, but in House of the Dragon, it appears as though Viserys is already being rejected by the throne, because we can see he has a massive wound on his back that is not healing. Both of these things are never mentioned in Fire and Blood, and with good reason we think. It's a show-exclusive detail. Paddy Considine revealed that King Viserys is suffering from a form of leprosy in the show, and that his body is rapidly deteriorating from the inside. It's why his scabs don't heal properly, and on time like they should. It also makes him vulnerable to serious ailments that can stem from seemingly normal occurrences, like a slight cut on your left hand's fingers from the Iron Throne after dismissing your brother for standing up to your treacherous hand. Viserys is in every progressive episode, and the state of Viserys' hand has only gotten worse. First his fingers turn black and Archmaester Mellos tries to use maggots to save the hand. When that doesn't work, Viserys has to get them hacked off, but the ailment has spread already. His entire left arm is covered with leprosy lesions, and his internal chemistry is so terrible that he is falling over randomly in the throne room and using his daughter's wedding dress as a handkerchief. Viserys is clearly dying, and in episode 6, we see the biggest deviation from his depiction in Fire and Blood yet. The king has had his left arm amputated to the elbow. Now, because of the time skip, it is impossible to know who ordered this amputation, Mellos or Orwyle. And while it wasn't Gerardi's, it does make a few things clear. Viserys is not a true Blood of the Dragon person, because Targaryens are known to be resistant to most diseases that exist in the known world. Daemon was seen dragging Kragas Crabfeeder by his arm after slaying him, and the show has confirmed that his victim was suffering from grayscale, and yet he never shows any sign of having contracted that disease himself. Viserys' leprosy is the first sign that he is literally unfit to be king. There seems to be a conspiracy around his health itself, because when Otto Hightower was leaving King's Landing, he told Alicent that the king was dying and would not live to be an old man.
Listen to me, daughter. The king will die.
We saw this come true almost immediately after, and have also seen the scheming glances Otto and Mellos share, as well as the latter's routine ignorance of his acolyte Orwyle's suggestions. All these things would suggest that Mellos either knew Viserys was not long for this world, or knew how to heal him and withheld both pieces of information from him. This would be consistent with what the community calls the Grand Maester's conspiracy against House Targaryen and magic in general, and is also a key reason behind him losing his arm. The progressive degeneration of his health represents the unraveling of the House of the Dragon, with the amputation indicating that there is no turning back. When we first saw Viserys' injuries, his family was still somewhat stable. His brother was commanding the City Watch and doing a decent job. His wife was pregnant with a boy, and his daughter was living a comfortable life as a royal princess and the constant companion of one Alicent Hightower. When Aemon died along with his long-desired son, Daemon immediately made his true colors known, and Rhaenyra was forced into a situation where she not only had to deal with being the heir to the Iron Throne, but also watching her best friend replace her mother as queen. When King Viserys gets his fingers amputated, there is still hope that the rifts might be healed, but by the time he arrives on Driftmark, it is clear as day that no number of royal marriages can prevent this boiling cauldron from tipping over. Rhaenys' reaction to Viserys wincing when she grabbed his arm is all you need to see to confirm this. So when you put these 3 points together, you can start to see why House of the Dragon decided that King Viserys needed to lose his entire left arm, not just 2 digits from it. His sickness is representative of the fate of most Targaryen dragon dreamers, who were frail to begin with, but also the fact that he is unfit to be a kingly figure. The progressive loss of his left arm can be attributed to improper medical attention / intentional sabotage massaging, but is representative of his unworthiness to sit upon the Iron Throne and failure to heal the rift between his two families, and the amputation itself is the point of no return.
You have carried King Jaehaerys' legacy and kept the realm strong.
Marvelous verdict. House of the Dragon outdid themselves with this particular plot point, because it shows that they truly understand the world George R.R. Martin has created. In the books, the Viserys loses finger subplot was part of a larger anti-Targaryen Maester conspiracy theory, and his amputation was used to show the world that Rhaenyra's Maester was not only more capable than Viserys or Alicent's, but also more loyal to the crown he has sworn to serve. In House of the Dragon, his illness and subsequent amputation have been turned into a commentary about the nature of Targaryens, the worthiness of kings, and the misgivings of a loving yet ignorant parent. It's crazy that we got all that from one lost arm. We know, but such is the creative genius of George R.R. Martin, Ryan Condal, and Miguel Sapochnik. So if anything, blame them, not us. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.